into another edition of Prime Sports World. And I'm David Huffman. Right there is from the Daily Blitz Stop blog, Mr. Christian Simpson, and the very, very happy Packer fan, Mr. Israel Rivera, up in the top corner of the show. Let's talk about Super Wild Card Weekend. This has been Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Gentlemen, it is still frigid cold here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but good news, it's supposed to be in the double digits tomorrow. So, looking forward to that.
Looking forward to double digits. There you go, David.
Yeah.
Nice,
small victory
this week.
Small
victories. We'll take them.
It's supposed to be 30 degrees on Thursday. I might wear shorts to work.
Oh, don't be that guy. Christian.
He lucky he can't see my face right now.
We've been talking about Super Wild Card Weekend. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Gentlemen, if you had to categorize Super Wild Card Weekend just with one word, what would that one word be?
Sensational.
Blowouts.
Yeah.
There are a plethora of blowouts.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the first game, the first blowout, as the Houston Texans welcome in the Cleveland Browns into their house, and they put a whooping on Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns, and they remind people why TJ retired Joe Flacco at the beginning of this season and said he should not play in the NFL again. But they win 45-14. CJ Stroud is magnificent in this game, 16-21, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. Devin Singletary had a touchdown. Nico Collins had a touchdown. Brevin Jordan had a touchdown. Dalton Schultz had a touchdown. On the other side, Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, got a touchdown.
Yes.
And Joe Flacco, 1 touchdown, 2 pick sixes on back-to-back possessions, basically back-to-back throws. And then Kareem Hunt had 1 touchdown, and Kareem Hunt also had a touchdown in garbage time. Actually, not technically in garbage time, but this game was never close. Texans go wire to wire. They win this game. Big statement here for the Houston Texans and by CJ Stroud.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think my 2 biggest takeaways: one, Amari Cooper wasn't doing what he did on Christmas Eve. Let's just get that out the way.
Well, he didn't look healthy. So
no,
I don't know how much the ankle was really bothering him in this game. But
you may be right, but I don't want to hear that because everybody's hurt around this time of the year. You know, there's no excuse for that. Until I really like the way the Houston Texans guys Miles. You really didn't hear his name throughout this game on Saturday. Just the all around. I think this is Houston's best performance.
That's because he had his arch nemesis, Laramie Tunsil, across the way from him.
And those know each other. They know each other. But
yeah, they played a lot against each other in the SEC.
Yeah, in the SEC.
They pointed that out. In the broadcast.
But just an overall dominant performance. CJ Stroud looks like he's been here before. He just never seems phased or scared of the big moment. Instead, he embraces that big moment. And you saw that on Saturday.
Yeah, no moment's too big for CJ Stroud. He's a big time quarterback. I saw this a year ago. I mean, I saw this in the college football playoff against a historical defense in Georgia, who has multiple guys that are playing on Sundays right now and are gonna be playing on Sundays next season. And it was a historical defense, and he pretty much handled his way, and that's when I knew he was going to.
If Marvin Harrison doesn't get hurt, they probably win that game.
Yeah, well, so I saw this coming into the league is that he was pro ready. And you hear guys talk about it. I was listening to some of the Colts defenders. They were on the In the Trenches podcast, and they were talking about how CJ Stroud is doing things that 5th and 6th year guys are supposed to be doing, that he's already doing in his first year, looking guys off, deceiving safeties with his eyes, doing the shoulder thing, kind of moving cornerbacks and stuff like that. So, he had a perfect quarterback rating against an elite defense. And then also, I like the point that you said Myles Garrett was really taken out of this game. They did a really good job chipping them. Laramie Tunsil did a really good job at blocking against him. I mean, he did a hell of a job. I saw the game, and he was holding his own against one of the premier, probably the DPOY, in the NFL. And also, one component that I want to say too is that the Browns just could not get the running game going, right? They just couldn't get Jerome Ford going. They couldn't get
2.8 yards per 2.8 yards per carry in this game, and that includes Joe Flacco running for 4.3 yards per carry.
And it came down to the fact, David. We all said it, and we were talking during the game, and it's like, well, this was a game. This was a game. It was a 10-point game. They were marching down the field. They were in field goal range.
Yeah, they were.
And then it just seems like the world underneath them, the land, everything just fell apart.
Well, I mean, Cleveland kind of got into this kind of trouble a lot in the regular season. They were just able to dig their way out of it. I mean, Joe Flacco, for all the praise that he was getting for being the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, he was throwing a lot of picks. Like, he threw 8 picks in 6 games. Like, eventually, that's not a recipe for success. You throw basically a pick and a half per game that you're playing in. That's not a recipe for success. He throws 2 picks in this game, both of them being pick sixes. Eventually, that kind of erratic play style where you're just basically living and dying by Joe Flacco's arm, because they weren't able to run the football for a majority of the season after Kareem Hunt went out, or not Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, sorry. Joe Flacco, they relied on Joe Flacco and they got burnt. I mean, he threw 2 pick sixes. Both of them basically sealed the game. Welcome in TJ Hopkins to the show. But yeah, Cleveland Browns, they just didn't have enough. Like, you rely on Joe Flacco, you fell short because you just couldn't run the football, and Joe Flacco made 2 costly mistakes. It's one of the reasons that he wasn't in the National Football League to begin with for a season and a half. What's up, TJ?
Man, about fucking time. I just need a new laptop. This mug it's seen better days.
Thoughts on this game before we move on?
I think the tide turned. It was literally back-to-back drives. Right, you miss a DPI on the Texans, which would have gave the Browns quality field position. They probably would have scored. It was still a 3-point ball game at that point. And then on the next drive for the Texans, the same DPI call, like the Texans got this. The Texans got the call the Browns didn't get on the same, like on the next drive. Like, that's when the tide for me changed in this game. Because the Browns didn't get that call, then the Texans got that call, and then the Texans scored, and then it was, man. Next thing you know, it is what it is. Over with. 2 pick sixes back to back.
Yep. Yeah. That was basically a wrap. I don't think officiating had anything to do with the result of this game, though. That's just my honest opinion.
No, I'm not.
Moving on to
David. No, you only say that because the game got out of hand early on. When it's a 3-point game, you don't call a DPI that would have given you good field position. That changes everything. People, don't roll your eyes at me either. I hate. I despise that. Official didn't have anything to do with the game. Yeah, because it became early on. Don't say that. Early on, when it's still a close game, don't say that. They missed a call. Don't say that.
That's fair. I just like, when you lose by 30, I mean, it's tough to be like, now, oh yeah, the official. Moving on from this game, let's swing into Arrowhead. One of the fourth coldest game in the history of the league. Kansas City.
Wait. The one you said wasn't that cold? That game?
Man, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen. You know what, David? I don't think I've ever seen somebody's helmet get cracked like that.
It was great. Kansas City took care of business at home. Fourth coldest game in the history of the NFL, playoff or regular season. They win the game 26-7. Tua Tagovailoa, 1 pick and 1 touchdown. Raheem Mostert, as they really struggled to get the running game going here for the Miami Dolphins. And then Tyreek Hill had the lone touchdown for Miami. It was just too much Kansas City for this entire game. Mahomes, touchdown, no picks. Isaiah Pacheco had a touchdown. And Rashee Rice who's emerged and having a really solid rookie season, also had a touchdown in this game and 130 yards receiving as well.
That part.
Man, you know what? We already kind of knew this was going to happen. I mean, I think the one question is like, you know, is Tua Tagovailoa, you know, actually still the elite quarterback that we all, or that the Dolphins think he is, and that some NFL fans think he is still after this performance. The Chiefs were able to put up 26 points, and it just seems like a foregone conclusion all season for the Dolphin seasons that they just could not stick with the elite talent in the AFC. It's just team after team after team they just could not beat. I know they beat Dallas, you know, by a field goal. But every other team they have struggled with. They struggled with Buffalo twice. They struggled here with the Chiefs. And then you know, on the flip side of things, you know, this Chiefs defense is still elite. You know, it can still lock down some folks. And you know, when you're a warm weather team and you go into a really cold environment, it is a difference. You know, it is a difference. You know, your warm, your blood cells, everything thins out. Your blood is thinner when you're in South Beach all the time and you're training in that hot weather. And then you got to come down to Kansas City and it's minus 30 and everything's starting to tighten up. All the hits start to hurt. You know, and you don't move as fast, right? You know, Christian, TJ, and so I just think that the Dolphins, this was just such a horrible, bad matchup, and they should have really put their best foot forward to win the division on the last game of the season. That would have boded well.
I think they did do that. They ran into Buffalo, who's a better football team.
I know, but I'm saying I know they probably did, David, but I mean. God damn it! They should have won. They should, you know, it would have boded well for them. Basically, is what I'm saying. Is if they would have had a home game in their first.
Well, I think this like really boys like we talk about Miami and like we look at them. Yeah, they put up 70 points against Denver, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's really impressive." But you look at their losses. Like they haven't beaten like their other wins outside of that game against Dallas. I mean, they haven't had a quality win this season, and that one quality win.
No. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. I mean, after they put up the 70 on Denver, they go to
the 70
Park.
steamer.
Right, whatever. They go to Orchard Park, and you know they
went to Orchard Park and got their ass tore up, boy.
They
lost the game by 28 points.
Note to ass.
But looking at this game overall, I think, you know, this is the most balanced I think I've seen the Chiefs look on both sides of the ball. They got the running game going. Rashee Rice, he looked really good. And they won this game the same way they did the regular season matchup between these two. A lot of defense and just enough offense. They did just enough. Miami's defense played well, but for the most part, but it was their offense that couldn't get anything going. Kansas City, I think we kind of expected this. They win this game and they move on.
Also, I want to say before TJ gets to his point, you know, not having like a guy like Bradley Chubb out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, not having any of their edge rushers. So
not having your edge rushers, and then not having one of your best corners as well, and then an enforcer, and maybe the heart and soul of your entire defense in Javon Holland. Like having those guys, would it have made a difference? Potentially, but you know, Bradley Chubb from playing in the AFC West, he knows Kansas City, so I think he would have made a little bit of an
What was the number? I think based on the edge rushers they didn't have in this game, I think they were missing 17 sacks, something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a lot. That's a high ass number.
I question Mike McDaniel's preparation for this game. You know very well in advance that it's going to be cold. It's all they talked about. It's all they talked about going into this game. Record freezing temperatures in this game for you guys. And as a coach, as a team, it is your prerogative, especially a team like Miami, where you don't see if the weather drops below 50, hell, if the weather drops to 50, they wearing hoodies and coats and whatnot. Why would you not?
That's true. I lived in Florida.
Like, why would you not get? I don't know, a week for the game to get acclimated to that. You cannot. I don't care what you do. You cannot simulate minus -degree weather. All right, we saw this last year for the playoff game against Buffalo. They in an indoor facility in Miami, and they got the air conditioning cranked to as high as you can get it to quote unquote simulate Buffalo temperatures. Bro, that's not Mike McDaniel.
I mean, you can't simulate wind and wind chill, like all that stuff. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So, like, why? Well, I'm like, you can't simulate shit like that. Like, so why? Like, so I put this loss on him as much as I do. Hell, the players not showing up. You can't, like, you were supposed to get there like a week or two, like maybe not a week or two, like 3-4 days before that.
I mean, what would it have hurt to found like somewhere else you could have practiced for like all week, like somewhere nearby that you could have just like at least tried to simulate some of the cold, like the wind chill, all the temperature stuff. And I know it didn't get like I think yeah, it's bad game preparation for sure.
That's like because like you can't simulate, like you can't go from practicing all week in Miami to all right. The game is what Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday at night. Even if you're a Midwestern guy and you go out to warm weather state Miami, I mean, and you're there for a long period of time, I mean, your blood's gonna thin out. I mean, it's just
that happened to me. When I lived in Florida, I lived there for 2 years, and like when I would go back and visit my family and stuff, like I didn't do it as much in the winter, but like when I first moved to Columbus,
you felt the difference.
When I first moved to Columbus, it was like when it would get like only a little bit cold, I'd be like, man, this is like different for sure. Moving on from here, the most shocking result of the entire weekend, the most shocking result of the entire weekend, Green Bay Packers puts a stomping on the Dallas Cowboys. This final score does not even close to believing how actually a blowout this game was. Packers win 48-32. They were up 41 to like 16 at one point. This game was never, ever close. Jordan Love had the playoff performance of the lifetime. Also, something eerily weird. If you look at Jordan Love and CJ Stroud's numbers side by side, they're like identical. They're like
even identical passer rating, 157.2.
I think they're like the difference in like 2 yards between the two. Like the completion percentage is the same, touchdowns is the same. Literally everything that they did together is basically exactly the same. As they chased the Cowboys out of Jerry World. Big shout out to the Green Bay Packers as they just beat down Dallas, and for the 3rd year in a row, Dallas comes up short. I'm not going to go through the stats; it's kind of irrelevant.
Excuse me. Go ahead. Who's first?
I think Izzy's got to go first. I mean, he's probably been chopping.
I got to go first. I went first 2 times in a row, but you know what? Hey, I deserve it. Look, right from the get go. I said it. I said the Packers increased their chances if they score on that first touchdown drive. I didn't know that they were gonna get the ball. Bold move by Matt LaFleur, right? They won the toss. They didn't defer like any other team would probably defer. He's like, no, we're gonna get this ball. We're gonna march it down the field. We're gonna score a touchdown. We're not gonna play from behind. That's what Dallas wants, right? Because if they would probably give Dallas the ball first, it probably would have been a different story of the game, right? So Green Bay sets the tone first, score 7 points, then they get a turnover. Then they score another 7 points. Then they get, then they stop them. They get another 7 points, right, or 6 points, and then they get the pick six. So it's just like a ripple effect. But yeah, right from the get go, they took out half the clock in the first quarter. They ran it down their throats. They passed it down their throats. They did whatever they did whatever they wanted to the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas, Dan Quinn decided for some odd reason to play zone majority of this football game. This team plays man. They play in nickel. They play with more defensive backs than anything because they don't have big linebackers. They don't have really big interior defensive linemen. So he plays with more DBs. He plays with usually 6 DBs on the field, if I'm not mistaken. And so he's usually playing a nickel and dime, and that's normal base package. But at the same time, he's playing zone, And Jordan Love, I mean, I got to give it to him. I mean, this is probably his best. This is absolutely his best performance of his career. Matt LaFleur has you've seen it. You see it. With a young quarterback, Matt LaFleur has 100,000% confidence in this guy to go out there and make decisions on the fly to change up the offense, to change plays whenever he sees something, to make certain throws. He's opened the playbook up 100% to Jordan Love, and you saw it. I mean, the throws that he was making, especially the one with the all-out blitz to go up 20-0 to Dontavian Wicks, that was just a thing of beauty. He comes up to the line, he checks it, he sees that they're playing, he sees that they're blitzing, he checks it again, he gets Jaden Reed to come in motion, and then he just rips out, he double clutches, and he throws a dart to Dontavian Wicks on an all-pro cornerback in Stephon Gilmore. So this kid has been amazing, and Aaron Jones is the Dallas Cowboy killer. He's one of 3 running backs that have averaged the most yards against them in franchise history. And he played another good game, over 100 whatever yards and 3 touchdowns. So this is a hell of a game for the Green Bay Packers. This is a great game. Nobody expected them to win like this. I expected them to win. I wanted them to win, not because I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, but I didn't expect them to win like this. But I did expect them to win this game because there's a lot of pressure on Dallas to win, because they have all that talent. This is the best chance for them to win a Super Bowl, and they're undefeated at home. So
yeah, I think that taking the opening kick, I think is a real, really what changed, because every team that's beaten Dallas has gotten on them early, and Green Bay is like, yeah, let's get the football, burn 8 minutes of clock, 7 minutes and 52 seconds, burn 8 minutes of clock, score a touchdown. You're immediately playing from ahead, and then they basically the wheels just came off of Dallas. And I think on the other side, we're going to talk about Green Bay a little bit more on Thursday because they're continuing to play. But Dallas, you got to, this is your best chance to win a Super Bowl, and you basically come up completely flat. You basically don't show up for this playoff game. I think there's going to be monumental changes in Dallas this offseason.
I don't think so.
Because anytime that your team is expected to go to the Super Bowl and you don't even show up in the wild card round, you basically don't, they didn't show up at all for this game. This game was over by halftime.
Mm-hmm. Christian.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I call an old fashioned Joe Jackson.
Yeah, it was an ass whooping. That was a bring home a bad report card.
See, black man. I knew he'd get the reference. This is an old fashioned Joe Jackson.
TJ, here. Let me just.
You wild for that one.
TJ,
He's called it an old fashioned Joe Jackson. Because my gosh, Jesus Christ.
Do I need to say it again? Swift-o guy.
And two black meat.
You know you need to stop.
On one hand, Dallas had all the pressure in the world. This is your best chance for a Super Bowl. You at home. You've lost one game at home in 2 years. Green Bay, no disrespect, Izzy, don't take this the wrong way. Green Bay, no. We happy to be here. No one expects us to be here. No one expects us to win this game. You know what?
I said that playing with house money.
You playing with house money. There is no freer feeling than playing with house money, right? Dallas, their failure to adjust to playing from behind, it's almost like, and you saw it early, right? Literally after the first drive, Green Bay gets that first touchdown, and Dallas is almost like, oh, what do we do? It's almost like them playing behind literally takes them off their script. Like that, automatically.
And I don't know what was going on with CeeDee Lamb in this game, but it was strange.
I'll tell you right now, from the jump, when he missed that third down catch on the first drive, you see Dak saying something to him coming off the sideline. You see Mike McCarthy, who rarely does what he did, come up to him and they're basically casting blame on CD, basically putting a lot of pressure on CD, saying, "Oh, you got to come up with that catch. You got to come up with that catch."
Because he does. He does.
All-pro wide receiver. He knows he
exactly. So come up with it. If it hits you in the hands, catch it. Like
but there's no reason. I think the tone was set. It was just a weird vibe. There was so much pressure. There's no reason for Mike McCarthy to get his big ass from the damn sidelines to come over there to CeeDee Lamb to tell an all-pro wide receiver that he's got to catch that ball. He knows he got to damn near. He knows he's got to catch.
There is a reason.
Okay?
There is a reason.
There's no reason. Jay, there's no reason.
Yes, there is.
You're casting blame. It says
Jerry
to give the negative energy on the team. You start the whole game.
What's the conversation right now? What's the conversation? Is the conversation talking about getting rid of CeeDee Lamb, or is it getting rid of that Mike McCarthy? It's getting rid of Mike McCarthy.
It's getting rid of Mike McCarthy.
So you got
Mike McCarthy.
So you got damn right if I'm Mike McCarthy and my job on the line, I'm gonna light a fire on your ass because you dropping balls that you ain't dropped all year. You ain't like you go on the spots that you know you supposed to be at, and you not there for the first time all year. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like
what was the play? What was the play? There was a play also where it's like, yo, Jair Alexander bullied him. It's just like
that picky man was just.
No, don't get me wrong. Like that pick he got. Me personally, if I was real,
I wouldn't talk about the pick. I'm talking about the shove.
No, I know the play you talking about. I know the play you talking about. But Dave was talking about the interception he had, the pick he had. Me personally, I would have called a hold. That's me. I saw a lot of hold. Yeah. I would have called a hold. That's me personally. No, null and void here and there, but I would have called a hold. If you're Dallas, you it's another year. It's fire this guy. We need a new quarterback. This, that, and the third. Like it's same old Cowboy is no Cowboy, right? Like it's. Like what can you say? Like what?
Well, another thing, and so another thing is just like, after the loss, what this deters, and I think we might have talked about it yesterday. I mean, this deters, guys from going to want to be in Dallas. I mean, there's a million so when the Dolphins lose, did they talk to the owner of the Dolphins? No. When the Browns lost, they talked to the owner of the Browns? No. But when the Cowboys lose, there's a million cameras around Jerry Jones. There's the cameras around Jerry Jones. He walking up like Vince McMahon to the locker room.
Which is why I say any talks of Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh going to Dallas to be the guy, kill all that noise. Kill all of it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because Jerry.
End of the day, though, guys, the Dallas Cowboys really squandered an opportunity. This was their most talented team in the last 15 years. They had all pros across the board. They had Pro Bowl guys across the board. They had the number one rated defense. They had the number one rated offense. They had the number one rated defense in terms of pressures and all of that good stuff. And they squandered out. They looked like they couldn't get it. Micah Parsons had no sacks. He had one quarterback pressure. DeMarcus Lawrence was completely out of this game.
He got his first hold. He got his first hold in like 11 games. In his first, the season, I think. But it meant nothing. Moving on, let's swing into Sunday Night Football. We got the Los Angeles Rams going to Detroit, and Detroit getting their first victory in 32 years. So before anyone on this panel, not named me, was alive, Detroit Lions got their. Actually, Christian, I think is 33, so maybe he was alive.
I'm 33, dude.
Oh, you're alive too. I thought you were both 32.
Who was me?
Yeah.
Oh, just only TJ.
Talk to TJ.
Lions get the victory, 24-23. Matthew Stafford, 25-36, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 13 for 61. Also, I just found out he is not a rookie, so that's pretty embarrassing on my part. Puka Nacua, 181 yards and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell, 1 catch for 38 yards. Yeah, like the Giants were going to win 11 games this season. Remember that?
Yes. Or the Falcons were going to be playoff contenders.
They were at least in contention. They were at least close. Come on. And Jared Goff had a touchdown. Dave Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs both had rushing touchdowns. And Sam Laporta, who played in this game despite that knee injury, had the touchdown for the Lions. Big win for the team. Win big for the franchise. Go ahead.
Oh man!
This was the only competitive game of the entire weekend.
This was the game of the weekend. It was definitely tit for tat. Okay, I'm gonna say the one thing that irked me, and I said it in the group chat. I left a very lengthy voice note was the fans that booed Matthew Stafford when he ran onto the field for the for the Rams first snap. You ungrateful bastards. You booed that man, like you booed him. Like you booed Matt, like the guy that Megatron leaves, right? Megatron leaves and Matthew Stafford is by himself. You booed the guy that literally made you watchable. Are you kidding me?
It's cool, man. I think they just choked on mom's spaghetti after they booed. So it's cool.
I wish I could have been. I wish I could have seen them. I wish I could have seen how nervous they were when Matthew Stafford had that ball for that last drive.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying. We should all be talking about that non-call. That
holding call.
And that was blatant. You know that was blatant. They should have at least put him in field goal range, but it they didn't call it, and honestly, NFL refs. I know that they make mistakes, but these guys need to be held accountable, man, for these missed calls. Games.
I've been saying this all season. If Secaucus can look over every play and review just look at stuff like this. It's unacceptable to have human error be an excuse in today's NFL. I hate it, and I hate that we have to talk about the refs so much in this. Like just in general, I just hate it. Like we're taking away from the product on the football field because the referees make mistakes, and we ended up talking more about the referees than the actual game itself. It just drives me.
And the missed calls, but no. Instead of us talking about the faith that Dan Campbell had in Jared Goff to call a quick slant on the third down, right on the 3rd and 2, less.
Mm-hmm.
Right, a quick slant to your best receiver on 3rd and 2. We're talking about, hey man, you got to call them. You got to call that hold and call that, because if you call that, it's a different ball game. But
100%.
Like it was, I don't know. Like I guess emotions are all over the place for both of these quarterbacks. Like I'm strictly speaking on the quarterbacks, right? Like you got Matthew Stafford, who for all his effort, he tried so hard to get that one playoff win for Detroit. Hell, just to get them to the playoffs, and he came up short so many times, and they blamed him and. He got unfairly labeled as not good, as a stat patter, as this, that, and whatever. And then the minute he gets competence around him, competent coaching, competent front office, competent playmakers, what does he do? He wins a Super Bowl. And Jared Goff on the flip side is, I had all of that around me. I went from one of the most competently ran franchises, turned into a competently ran franchise because it wasn't that when he got there, to now I'm back to dysfunction. I'm back to 3-13. I got a rookie head coach. They're talking like there's no love for me here, not yet at least. He didn't see this coming. So now you're in the history books as, hey, who ended the Lions' 32-year playoff drought? Jared Goff. So, and it's against the team that said he wasn't good enough to get them over the top.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, man? I remember when Stafford got traded to the Rams and they swapped him for Jared Goff. And I even said this when I wrote about it on the site the other day. I said that trade reminded me so much of Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan. Because Kawhi Leonard goes to Toronto and what happens? They win an NBA Finals. Matthew Stafford goes to the Rams. What happens? They win a Super Bowl. Ultimately, looking at this game, the Rams hurt themselves because they had 2 opportunities in the red zone and they came away with field goals instead of 6 points. And to me, that's the difference right there. Neither team really put pressure on the quarterback, but I will give the Rams a lot of credit because they amped up their defensive intensity in the second half. But you got to give the Lions a lot of credit. I felt the emotion in that entire stadium. Close game. This was the one I was looking forward to the most, and I'm really glad that I previewed it for last, even though a lot of people had a lot of problems with that. But look, I run things. They don't. Great game. One of the best games I've seen all year. And that's all I really have to say.
Moving on into Monday Night Football as we try to get through these last two games a little bit quicker. Buffalo Bills beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game was also rescheduled. It was originally scheduled for Sunday. It was moved to Monday afternoon at 4:30. Which means I had nothing to do at work yesterday, which was kind of nice. But Buffalo wins 31-17. They just outclassed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Any other thoughts?
Man, y'all better give me my credit because one of us predicted the actual score.
Oh, yeah, Christian did predict this.
Thank you, Izzy. Yeah. Look, Buffalo kind of teeter-tottered in that third quarter. They allowed Pittsburgh to hang around until Khalil Shakir said, "Hold my wings. I'm gonna take us to the promised land." I mean, did y'all see that touchdown where you thought he was down? And that's why Izzy, I don't know about you, but that's why I always hated playing against those smaller guys because they could get out of tackles and they could maneuver themselves out of tackles in any way.
Shakir, Boise State.
Yeah, but
he used to make great plays.
Listen, Buffalo.
He still does.
Hot.
I mean,
no, I'm saying back in college, he used to make those type of plays.
Yeah, he did. But look, Buffalo is hot right now. And TJ, you want to bring up that little convo we was just talking about before the show? About, mentioning someone being overrated and
Y'all gonna have to kill all that Josh Allen overrated talk. I don't want to hear that shit.
Thank you.
You know what though? I will say something that kind of irked me was the one touchdown that he had where it was like he fake slide, he pulled a Kenny Pickett. Where Kenny Pickett did that in the ACC championship game.
That wasn't even a fake slide. That was a.
I mean, he like never.
That
really,
was like he was looking like he was about to give himself up. Look, NFL, y'all better outlaw that shit. Because look, when he did slide and they did put a hit on him, there's certain quarterbacks.
They called it. Yeah, they called it.
Yeah, they called it. And there's certain quarterbacks in this league, Justin Fields, that haven't gotten one of those all season.
Oh, he
right?
Respectful.
No, I'm being serious. He hasn't got one.
Yeah,
all season. He hasn't got one of those all season, but Josh Allen will get it. I know he's a superstar quarterback, but that little fake slide shit, that I hated that when Kenny Pickett did that in the ACC championship game a few years back.
Way more egregious though.
No, I know, but look. The defense is already at a disadvantage.
I mean, I think they're thinking about that. Like if he's gonna slide right here, I have to pull up, and he doesn't slide. He just continues going.
And then he just takes off. I mean, come on now. That we're the NFL is gonna have to look at that. And
I don't necessarily think they will. But yeah, it's something. If you're a defender, you're not happy about it.
That's like when the NBA calls the flop call. The flop penalty, the technical penalty.
Yeah.
Do they do that? I don't. Is that called?
They do that. Yeah, they do call flop technical foul on guys now these days. So it might change. It might change. I just didn't like that. I didn't like that. I don't like that at all because I play defense. Pop Warner to high school. To semi-pro, and it's like defense has always got the short end of the stick on the football field. They're always making rules for the offensive side of the ball because offense brings people into the stands. Nobody cares about defense anymore, and it's like the defenders always have. They always get the short end of the stick on everything, and we're always at a disadvantage when it comes to hits. Now they want to outlaw the hip tackle. Now they want to. You can't even hit the quarterback.
That hit to that outlaw is going to happen.
Look, and I wanna elaborate on what Izzy said because I wholeheartedly agree with him. I was a former defensive end, and I remember years ago on a show I used to contribute for. They asked me if I were playing in today's football, how would I hit? Would I go for the helmet or would I aim for the knees? And I didn't even hesitate, Izzy. I said I'm aiming for the knees because I know if I go helmet to helmet, crown to crown, I'm either A, getting disqualified from the game, or B, I'm coming out my pocket $35,000. That's that to the and it's going to the what game was it that we were talking about where Fam got hit? Oh God, Lee, what's tight end got hit?
Are you talking about the horse collar tackle that wasn't?
No. Where somebody got hit real hard below the knees.
Tyler Higbee.
Was that Tyler Higbee? Yeah, like that's probably gonna get outlawed too. They're gonna say, "Oh, you can't hit below this certain area."
That's a dangerous play.
That's a stupid dangerous play. So I mean, when you're taught, and look, hold on, guys. When you're taught, look, I'm gonna tell you, when you're taught the tackle right here. this I can't show the torso area down. So like right here, middle torso area down to the hips. That's actually perfect fundamental tackling with your head outside or on the ball, right? So a lot of guys in young and coming up, they're headhunters. They're coming up. I used to headhunt, and I used to hit guys up high all the time. And I never used to wrap up. They always the perfect fundamental tackle is hitting at the hips right here in this general area. This is the green area, and you want to wrap up and drive your guy to the ground. When you're hitting way below the knees, when you're hitting way high, and you're not wrapping up, you get we're going to come to the next game. You're going to get an exhibition like the Philadelphia Eagles where they can't tackle anybody. Okay, so
like, a couple more things. Like one about that tackle that Tyler Higbee got. The defender didn't even try to tackle him in the midsection. He just went straight to his knee.
It was a dirty play by
he just went straight to his knee, and I have an issue with that. Two, with the Bills Steelers, that game went about as expected. Like you brought it up, that's third quarter. Palms did get a little tight because it's like, hey, it's a touchdown game. It's like 17-10. What are we doing? Like what are we doing here? Like we got out the gate rolling. Like it was 20-0. Now it's like
I'm glad. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm glad Mike Tomlin walked off on that press conference.
That was my
dumbass lady. Oh, you got 1 year left. I'm walking off on you. Who the hell are you talking to?
That was
Who the hell are you talking to?
We'll talk more about the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason in a later show, but that
was my next point. All right, so Shannon Sharp on First Take today saying he's had 17 non-losing non-losing seasons in a row, and Shannon Sharp basically said that's irrelevant. I'm like, the hell it ain't. Like that's very relevant. Like
he's got a Super Bowl title. He continues to win no matter who the quarterback is.
I'm like, so what? It's been 15 years since his last Super Bowl. So what?
Yeah, so what? Jerry Sloan made a career in the NBA by getting
and not to mention like his players play hard for him every year. Like he hasn't lost the locker room. Like normally you have a guy and like at some point maybe you have people that start to check out, right? Like you've been coached for you've been a coach there for so long that like people start to check you out. That doesn't seem to be happening in Mike Tomlin's locker room.
No. And if they are players that start to tune them out and like it goes one in one ear, not the other, you see what happened to him. AB, bye.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool, bye.
Le'Veon Bell,
bye.
Also, a quick shout out to Chino Brooklyn Jr. watching us on Facebook. We appreciate the comments there. He said, watch out for CJ Stroud and watch out for Jordan Love. So a little bit of love to both those quarterbacks in the AFC and the NFC. To the final game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat down Philadelphia in Raymond James Stadium. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. This might be one of those games that cost Nick Sirianni his job. Like for real. Like
I'm not going that far.
But Devontae Smith, they didn't have AJ Brown, which is a lot to do with why they lost. But this game, the Philadelphia Eagles were just out of sorts from the get-go, and they never got it right. Tampa Bay won this wire to wire.
I think what made me mad about this game was
lack of tackling by the Eagles.
Besides a little bit of everything.
Besides that, no. What's one thing that Tampa's defense loves to do? Blitz. They love to blitz. You live by the blitz, you die by the blitz, right? And they kept blitzing, and Philly never adjusted to it. Like, yo, you gonna get Jalen?
Didn't even try.
Right. That's the thing. As far as Tampa Bay, look, they were the better team coming into this game. Philly was broken after the 49er game. And if I'm being realistic here, Buffalo should have beat them. But, they just were never able to regroup. Dallas punches them in the mouth. They end up losing to Seattle. Should have lost to the Giants on Christmas Day. Then Arizona beats them, and then they end the season losing to the Giants. So that was supposed to happen. But, yeah.
He was doing so well. He was doing
look, grown folks talking.
They ain't been the same. They ain't been the same, right? Since you said that, and since they rushed out, how many figures we have? What's today's date? Since that damn short concussion protocol that they did on Jalen Hurts, they ain't been the same. I wonder what the hell they did. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle.
Know what they did? Hey, what day of the week is it? Who we playing? What's your mama name?
Come on, man. Come on now. What number do you wear, Jalen? No, yeah, I know what number I wear.
And look, I also want to say this too. During the regular season, you guys know I was never really sold on the Eagles because they were just skating along, and I kept saying this is all going to catch up to them. And look at what happened.
Man, hey, I told Izzy and David when we did the Eagles season preview. They saw that cake. They saw that schedule. They thought it was gonna be sweet. I'm like, it's like 6 or 7 losses, bro, on that schedule.
Nobody expected them to falter like they did at the end of the season. They were rolling so hard.
They were 10-1 and they lose 5 of the last 6 games. They basically did the exact 6 out of the last 7. They basically did the opposite of what Tampa Bay did, who won 6 out of the last 7 games to make it into the playoffs. This is a Philadelphia Eagles team that just kind of quit, really. Like, they stopped tackling. Like, they just stopped playing good fundamental football. And also, if this is Jason Kelsey's last, it will be Jason Kelsey's last football game. This is a terrible way to go out. I mean, you're probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, and this is the way you lose the game. Like, your team doesn't show up even for the biggest game of your season. Like, it's a bad look.
Look, there's a difference. Look, David, it's like with the Packers, it's like with the Bucks, it's like with the Texans. They all won, right? And what's the key denominator for them going into the playoffs? They had to play playoff type of football going into the playoffs because their seasons were on fire, and it felt like for multiple weeks at a time. The Packers been playing playoff football the last 3-4 weeks. The Texans been playing playoff caliber football the last 3-4 weeks. The Bucks been playing playoff caliber football the last month and a half. And they go into these games against the Eagles, who have not been playing playoff caliber football, who had a playoff seed almost really wrapped up. They go against the Browns, who pretty much had a playoff wrapped up as well the last couple weeks of the season. They went against the Cowboys. I mean, the Browns might be a bad example, but the Cowboys, they were going to go to the playoffs regardless. They're playing for that NFC East title in the top 2 seeds. So, it just says something when a team is coming in hot like that, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let me say this: shout out to Baker Mayfield, the guy.
He just got paid.
He got kicked out of Cleveland. Everybody blamed him for Cleveland and all their downfalls. Went to Carolina. He was playing freaking scout team defense on Carolina, doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. He got traded to the Rams, came in, played admirably in the game, has to go to Tampa Bay, has to fight to be the quarterback there with Kyle Trask at the beginning of the season. Kyle Trask into an NFC South title and wins in the playoffs. Come on now.
Kyle Trask.
I just got a few words to say after that sermon. Comeback player of the year.
Absolutely.
Oh, he should. He should.
What you mean he should?
We said that. He should. Well, there's a lot of folks that say
he didn't play.
He didn't play.
Well, that's what we said. That's our argument too. So
in order to become back player of the year, you gotta, do the play part of that. You gotta
last thing before we get up out of here today, we got game ball. Izzy, I know you've been. I know you want to get game ball. And I don't want to steal yours, so get your game ball.
Okay. Here we go. Get the hell out of here. Get your ass to Cancun, buddy. Jordan Love gets my game ball of the week, baby. Can you feel the love tonight? Let's go.
CJ Stroud getting my game ball. 3 touchdowns, no picks, perfect passer rating. CJ Stroud gets my game ball. First playoff game, also magnificent in that game.
Even though he lost, we can't deny the fact he didn't ball out. Puka Nacua. 9 receptions, 181 of them things. And 1 touchdown. He averaged 20.1 yards per reception. Reminds me of a more explosive Wes Welker that can take the top off the zone. Just how shifty he is and how he moves in open space. And he's tough. I mean, he was getting drilled. He was getting right back up like nothing happened. Puka Nacua. And if CJ Stroud didn't have the year that he had, I think Puka would be the favorite to win offensive rookie.
I mean, anytime you break a record that stood for nearly 70 years.
He probably still could get it because, again, like the availability matters. CJ Stroud missed a game or 2 and Puka Nacua
3 games,
didn't.
I think.
So
2 games for sure and part of another.
You got 2.5. He missed 2.5 games. My game, Baker Mayfield. You did something that Tom Brady didn't even do. You had a 300-yard playoff game. Like Tom Brady was there for what, 2 years, with the same weapons basically. Give or take
3 years, right?
3 years, and he never had a 300-yard passing playoff game. Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't be surprised if he, like, whatever contract, Geno Smith got. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay gave that to Baker Mayfield.
I agree with you on that. I think with some opt-outs out of it, so you get out of the money if you need to in a couple of seasons. Yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. This has been our Super Wild Card recap. Thank you very much for checking us out. Like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. David Huffman, Israel Rivera, Christian Simpson, TJ Hopkins. Gentlemen, what do we do? Hit the prime, my friends.
We bring.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Man, I'm so glad I will not have to hear that again this season. I'm just we'll be back here tomorrow, giving out some fantasy football awards, and on Thursday we'll break down the divisional rounds. Keep an eye out for that content.
Izzy, one more time.
Yeah, Izzy, I gotta hear it again.
Here we go. And that's a wrap. We'll see you guys tomorrow.